In the twilight of a dying galaxy, where suns collapsed into silence and constellations frayed into dust, a lone human vessel drifted. Its name was the Orphean, the last seedship of Earth, carrying within its vaults the genetic memory of forests, oceans, and the laughter of forgotten children. On board was Captain Elara Vey, not a soldier, not a conqueror, but a keeper. Her duty was to ensure that, even if Earth's light had dimmed, its echo would never vanish. For centuries she wandered through silence, recording her voice into the Ark's memory banks, telling stories of rain on rooftops, of bread breaking at crowded tables, of lullabies whispered in candlelight. But the stars were fading faster now. One by one, systems collapsed into the endless dark. The universe seemed to be drawing its last breath. And yet, in that darkness, came a whisper, a signal faint as a heartbeat, not human, not known, calling her name. Elara followed the whisper into the void. Her journey of discovery, of loss, of connection, was about to begin. The signal led her to a place no chart had ever marked. A hollow star, its light extinguished, yet its core still pulsing faintly. Around it drifted colossal shards of crystalline matter, like frozen tears suspended in orbit. Docking near one shard, Elara found something impossible. A chamber woven of light and stone, alive with memory. The chamber belonged to the Lytheron, a civilization thought long vanished. They were weavers of memory, beings who carried history not in books or data, but in living constellations of thought. Elara stepped inside. The walls sang, not with words, but with impressions. A mother's farewell, a warrior's grief, a child's laughter. For the first time, Elara realized humanity was not alone in treasuring memory. But the Lytheron chamber was fractured, fading. The voices within pleaded not for rescue, but for remembrance. Elara placed her palm on the crystalline surface and shared her own, the memory of Earth's oceans. The chamber drank it in, glowing brighter. For a moment, the Lytheron voices steadied. Then came the shadow, a presence vast and hollow, swallowing echoes whole. The chamber trembled, as if hunted, and Elara understood the whispers that had called her were cries for help. The shadow revealed itself, not a ship, not a creature, but a tide. The Umbrith, a living hunger that consumed memory, leaving only silence in its wake. It had already devoured hundreds of civilizations. The Lytheron had fought it and failed. Now it had found the Orphean. Elara knew her ship's defenses were meaningless. The tide could not be fought with weapons. It devoured meaning itself. So she did the only thing left. She told a story. Standing in the heart of the Lytheron chamber, as the tide pressed closer, Elara began to narrate Earth. The first fire lit in a cave, the first step on the moon, the first song sung by a child who did not yet know words. The chamber amplified her voice, weaving it into constellations of light that pushed back against the tide. For every memory consumed, 1,000 more bloomed. But Elara was only one voice. The tide pressed harder, threatening to unravel her very being. Then, faintly, other voices joined, not human, Lytheron echoes, reborn through her sharing. Together, they sang across the void, weaving a net of memory the tide could not consume. The Umbrith recoiled, not destroyed, but transformed. For the first time, it felt not hunger, but remembrance. In the aftermath, silence returned, but it was no longer empty. The hollow star blazed again, not with fire, but with memory, shining like a beacon to all who wandered the dark. Elara returned to the Orphean, her body weary, but her spirit alive with something greater than survival. She was no longer a lone keeper of Earth's flame. She was now part of a constellation, human and Lytheron, bound by the act of remembrance. Travelers came in time, drifting vessels lost in the void, remnants of civilizations thought forgotten. They were guided by the star reborn, by the stories that echoed across the dark. And as they gathered, each brought their own memory, a melody sung by a dying world, a fragment of laughter preserved in crystal, a single tear carried across light years. Together, they wove a living tapestry, proof that even as stars faded, meaning endured. Elara stood at the heart of it, whispering her final vow. Humanity's gift is not fire or steel, it is the story. And as long as we tell it, no star will ever truly die. Somewhere, in the silence of a forgotten system, the Umbrith stirred again, not as hunger, but as listener.